Hey, it's a Victory Monday here. PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Johnny Venerable, Brack, no better time than to join our family. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. So much good stuff. The merchandise locker. Pick up a free hat and or shirt. The vibes are free and they're immaculate today. Brack here in the Valley, ASU, U of A. The Arizona Cardinals, 3 for 3, Valley football. You love to see it.
Yeah, it's a rarity the last couple of years, right? But you'll take it. The second Victory Monday of the 2023 season for Jonathan Gannon and crew. And it was all on the shoulders, the legs, the arm of their franchise quarterback, who I think is gonna get a lot of run today. We're going to do our trending up and down as far as the Cards go. Kyler Murray make one of those lists? I know a certain tight end that should certainly make some lists. Johnny has had Trey McBride on his list so often. I don't know if he can trend up any further, but he certainly has. He's going to show up on one of our lists. That's for damn sure.
That's the exact rationale I was going to use. While he may or may not be on my list today, I don't like hearing this. Dylan Richards, friend of the program in the chat, saying, my girlfriend dumped me today, and I'm here because of all of you help me. Help we shall. Maybe let's not prioritize her. Let's prioritize the Cardinals because you are a winner, Dylan, as are the Arizona Cardinals today. So we're
Dylan, hang in there, man. You're a great guy. You're a catch. Biggest mistake of her life. Or, if it's something you wanted, yeah, way to maybe get rid of some extra baggage there. Let's move onward and upward, my guy.
Yes, the Isaiah Simmons of this podcast. We moved on to bigger and better things. Isaiah Simmons, 1 tackle yesterday, by the way, for the Giants. Got shellacked.
Did Wink finally unlock him?
Huge mistake. We're here to gloat today. It's a gloating Monday. Cardinals get their second victory of the season. I think one of many to come. Kyler Murray 1-0 in the lineup today. And again, already seen the backtracking, right? Brack, national pundits, media people oh yeah, Kyler Murray's pretty good at football. Oh yeah, when he plays, the Cardinals are pretty competent. 6 scoring drives offensively yesterday with a lot of meat on the bone. If you haven't watched our pregame, or our postgame from yesterday, it was very much emphasizing the Cardinals can play better. And yet Kyler Murray, James Conner runs that in for a touchdown at the end of the game, which was just, basically a tactical decision not to. They're over 30 points in his return. And I think that at the end of the day, comfort level is going to be there. By the end of the season, knock on wood, everybody's healthy. This is an offense that a lot of people should be high on because, of course, led by number 1, Kyler Murray.
I heard a debate on, I think, Sirius NFL Fantasy Radio or something on the way in, and they're like, would you, if you could pick one quarterback for the rest of your fantasy football season, Kyler Murray or Joshua Dobbs? And it's just man, are we just as reactionary as we could possibly get? And it's a no doubt that even in the fantasy football world, I know what Joshua Dobbs has done has been incredible. I don't want to discount that at all, but just the skill set on full display yesterday for Kyler Murray. I think that there's a couple trajectories that these quarterbacks can go on, and I can only see one that's truly going to ascend and trend in the right direction, and a guy who could plateau at some point, if not decrease his production.
Let's be frank. Bo and I talk off air a good amount about Joshua Dobbs. I think Bo is about done with this Dobbs story. I think he wants it to be over. Nobody's rooting for him to fail. He's plus 400 to win comeback player of the year. He's in contention for comeback player of the year. I'm happy for him. I also think Kevin O'Connell is really good at his job. I don't think it's a hot take to say Drew Petzing is not as good of an offensive play caller as Kevin O'Connell. And by the way, they get Justin Jefferson back. The Vikings were in the playoffs last year. I know they started slow. They've won 4 or 5 straight.
5 straight.
We're happy for Joshua Dobbs on this podcast. And nobody will say this, it gives credence to the Cardinals and a certain podcast that back Joshua Dobbs as a better alternative than rag arm Colt McCoy one step out of retirement. I mean, you'll see too many of those tweets being uncovered this morning. Hey, you know what? We should have started Colt McCoy instead of Joshua Dobbs. I'm sorry. Joshua Dobbs is a very competent NFL quarterback. He's in the bottom half, the bottom third of starters. But like on any given Sunday, he can look like that. So we're not here to talk about Dobbs.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about Kyler Murray. But it's important for us to clarify that because there's so much information. It's fast and furious, Bo. But again, happy for Dobbs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Colt McCoy is not the banner of the NFL's Twitter account this week, like one Joshua Dobbs, the pastronaut. It's just not. It doesn't happen. So I don't know. That's something I was thinking about last week, and then obviously, you know, the Dobbs sanity hit another gear this weekend. You know, can the Cardinals take credit for Joshua Dobbs? Can they take credit?
They're not allowed to now.
No, they can't.
According to everybody else,
right.
The same people that said the Cardinals gave up too much for Dobbs are now the same people that are saying they didn't get enough from the Minnesota Vikings. It's like, I love this fan base. With certain people, you just can't win. Some people are just going to always be upset. Like, this team won a game. It's a rarity that they win games. And they had a nice, complete team win yesterday in all three phases. And there are people upset about it. And it's just like, I'm sorry. I'm going to relish the chance to celebrate a dub with my co-host because we've experienced 7 together since you've joined this program in almost 2 seasons. It's a big deal. Yeah, no, but it's a big deal when this team wins. And like, it's not a fluke win with Trace McSorley. It's like your franchise quarterback came back after 11 months of recovery and rehab and kicked some ass yesterday at home and beat the Atlanta Falcons. That's what we should be celebrating.
Absolutely. And yeah, the play of Kyler Murray, and we kind of got to talk to Jonathan Gannon today and what he saw on tape, and he broke down, you know, his franchise quarterback. I don't think that he needed to add too much to what he said yesterday. And, you know, he said that kind of the belief started to brew in this between the walls of the organization, the facility last week during practice. Like, Kyler Murray brought a little extra juice to practice, and JG said that there was an uptick, a definitive uptick in the competitiveness on both sides of the football that was brought by, number one, being back in there playing exclusively with the first team offense.
Yeah. For me, it's just like Kyler Murray raises everybody's game, and that's evident. Like, we're going to talk a lot about Trey McBride today. Trey McBride didn't have that performance with Joshua Dobbs or Clayton Tune, clearly. Like, you have to have multiple pieces of the puzzle to be able to unlock like the potential of this offense. And the good news is, like, I think Hollywood Brown can play better. Like, we haven't seen a fully expanded role for Rondale Moore, you know, knock on wood that he stays healthy. Michael Wilson, there's going to be more opportunities. Everybody improves with a franchise quarterback. It's like for the first 8-9 weeks of the season with Dobbs and Clayton Tune, it's been like, we need everybody to pick up the quarterback, make hospital ball catches, right? Elevate your QB, pass protect for 6-7 seconds. Now it's just like, no, Kyler Murray can clean that up. And like, perfect example yesterday, and they didn't convert it. Elijah Higgins, God love him, 6th rounder that they picked up. You know, Cardinals get back-to-back holding penalties, and Kyler Murray makes a strike to Higgins that is going to wipe away about 20 to 25 yards of a holding penalty.
Yeah.
Like that was a calling card of Kyler Murray cleaning up after Cliff Kingsbury for 5 years. And we saw on display yesterday. Now, Higgins didn't haul in, but that's like a perfect example of what he's able to do. With Dobbs, it's an immediate punt. With Tune, with Colt McCoy, you can see the downs. There are going to be opportunities time after time where he is able to win for you with that intangible quality that only comes from a couple guys in the NFL.
No doubt about it. Like, the offense has a different type of resiliency, right? I mean, I think the same drive you're talking about where Higgins, it was right there. He dropped it in his breadbasket, and it was gonna wipe away. It was gonna get him back to the original line of scrimmage. It was gonna. I think it was like 1st and 30. He hit him in the hands, and it was gonna put him right there, 20 yards down the field, and be at like 2nd and 10. It would have been a huge chunk, right? But instead, you know, they face 2nd and 30, and then they got, you know, 3rd and a mile. And JG talked about this play in his press conference today and how important it was, because on that, Kyler Murray is able to get the ball on 3rd down into the hands of Rondale Moore, and he gets it up to the 39-yard line, and it puts him right in position to get points. Yep. I mean, it's 3rd and a mile. And it seems like the only thing that's, in the cards for Arizona is a punt. And you just get a couple of yards. You don't try to do too much and get the ball to, past the sticks for a first down, which would be a Herculean effort, or, to the end zone. It's, hey, we're going to take what we can get, put ourselves in a position, and utilize our other weapon who goes 4 for 4 yesterday, including the game-winning kick, and Matt Prater. I think he hit from like 56 on that kick on that field goal. So really impressive play from Kyler Murray to have it down like between the ears, like, hey, I'm not going to try to do too much here, just get some yards, and we'll let our guy kick it for points.
Yeah. And again, like, you attempt those kind of plays knowing who's a quarterback, right? Like, they're not conceding drives. At the end of the day, like, the NFL, the margin for error is so razor slim, because even though teams may have a disparity in talent or their win-loss record is different, like, anybody dispute, like, today the Cardinals beat the New York Giants, right? Dallas Cowboys are playing better.
Yeah.
Maybe they beat the Cardinals. You need to take points when you can get them. Like, Cardinals don't make that field goal, they probably lose that game yesterday. There's a good chance either they lose it or they have to score a touchdown last minute, and Atlanta gets an opportunity to respond, I should say. So I think we all wanted more touchdowns yesterday. I was a little bit surprised they didn't score, a couple more touchdowns, but then you look at the efficiency between the 20s and it's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, as people are saying in the chat, Jessica, Hollywood also slipped, and they weren't able to connect on that deep ball in the end zone. That's timing that will return with reps. Timing.
Man, he was close to making an incredible play.
He was. And again, if you're Hollywood Brown, you want to make $20 million, maybe you need to make that catch. That's a conversation, I think, for a different time. But they're going to clean a lot of this up. They're going to be much more efficient. And they almost sleptwalk their way, albeit against Atlanta, to 30 points. That's a testament to who is under center. The fact that he has been live in practice for about 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks now. And that's the kind of result you get. And I get it. You wanted to be able to hang your hat on that and not roll him out against that Cleveland defense. But now, and we'll talk about it throughout the duration of this week, you got to build on it, right? You got to be better. You got to improve. You got to put points on the board against a very susceptible Houston's defense. The LA Rams gives you opportunities to put points on the board. So I think that, as cliche as it sounds, that's the tipping off point for this offense. The run game can be better, and certainly, like, the deep ball outside of Trey McBride, that's available to unlock, of course, we know, with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I think your trio of wide receivers, I mean, there's so much potential there. And we saw an emphasis to get Michael Wilson involved. I think we saw a season high target in Rondale Moore with 8 targets, and he made 5 catches for 43 yards. It's got to be the most production, in the pass game that Rondale Moore's had. Of course, he's been a nice gadget player in the run game. And then Hollywood Brown, 1 catch for 28 yards. Like, you want to see Hollywood get going, and I certainly believe that he's going to be able to. And I think it's going to be necessary in this upcoming week. As far as how good Houston has been against tight end positions, right? I mean, they've been really, really good as far as how they defend that. You see them as far as where they stand. They're like 5th. They've surrendered, I think, like the 5th least fantasy points as far as tight ends go. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup for him. And I think Trey McBride has the confidence, and Kyler Murray has the confidence in Trey McBride, no matter what the matchup is, safety, linebacker wise, that he's going to win one-on-one. I mean, take this from yesterday. Do we have it, Damon, or are we still waiting on the McBride video? All right. Yeah, no worries. We'll get to that later. But I mean, poor Richie Grant, safety for the Atlanta Falcons. I've never seen my Twitter go off. It was just retweets and quote tweets from Falcons fans, just absolutely roasting Richie Grant for his performance against Trey McBride. And we'll get into that a little bit.
To be fair, he's going up against what I think is going to be a superstar generational tight end in the NFL. And I've thought that for some time, and it just took a Zach Ertz injury and a franchise quarterback to return and be able to give him rhythm passes. But just the nuance of this team, I think the atmosphere of this team is dramatically different. It is unprecedented, the situation that's at hand now. I can't remember a team of the last 10 years that just walked back their franchise quarterback mid-season. Like, the record is so irrelevant for this team. It's relevant for draft talk, and we're going to talk about that later. And we're going to do a mock draft on this show as the Cardinals are picking 4th right now. That's the only thing that's relevant, because, again, you want to reap the benefits of having to eat a big shit sandwich for the first 2 months of the season. But, like, anybody think they're like all these like 4-5 teams and 3-6 teams, like, Anybody want to put money on them beating Kyler Murray, especially when Kyler Murray's cooking with gas, 3 touchdowns, rushing touchdown? Like, throw all that out the window. I think the records now are going to be so irrelevant. This team is going to be so much different in 2 months from now. Think about where they're trending. We're going to talk about the landscape of this rookie class. Multiple rookies starting on defense, multiple young players, rookies making plays offensively for this team. You've got to, this isn't Arthur Smith, thank God, or Brandon Staley, where guys are just basically quitting on the coach. This is the opposite. You're 2 months in of Jonathan Gannon now, and people are really picking up what he's selling. Nick Rollis, Drew Petzing, I think, called a good game. Jeff Rogers is elite at his job as a special teams coach. So you talk about trending up. Like, a lot of people this week have already kind of sat back and kind of looked at this line against Houston. It's 5.5 right now against the team that everybody loves, against a quarterback that people are putting in the MVP conversation. Wait a minute, you're telling me there's a 2-8 team that's coming to town and it's only a 5.5 point spread? For those of you who don't know, if that's on a neutral field, you take away 3 points, that's 2.5. So they're telling you potentially the Cardinals would be favored against Houston in Arizona. Why is that? Why is that different than a week ago? It's because of the guy playing quarterback. That's all that matters in the NFL. Like, no other singular entity outside of quarterback is worth more than a point in Vegas. And the Cardinals showed you that yesterday. They were a home dog, and they should have won by 7 points.
No doubt about it. It's a strange anomaly that you rarely see. I mean, there often are teams. I think Chicago kind of played this role a little bit last year where they were losing tight games. You were getting great performances or solid performances from Justin Fields.
Right.
And there was an excitement like, hey, if they can just add to this roster, man, just think about where they can go. But you've seen that they didn't answer enough questions last season. Like, sure, they were competitive. They played some games, but they have a head coach that seems like he's overmatched, where I think you've learned at least through 10 games that Jonathan Gannon, nothing has really overwhelmed him from the head coaching position. You liked in spurts and flashes in different times from their top coordinators and Petzing and Nick Rollis that nothing's too big for them as well, and that they're the right fit. And then you start to see like the play from the quarterback, and then the ability to play complementary football game one. That just gets people excited about the potential down the stretch to trend in the right direction going into the offseason. And then like doing the hard work before the season began, just completely churning this roster, getting rid of, big contracts despite, guys who could potentially help you this season for, with your eye on the future and in drafting and developing the next core of players instead of holding on to guys from the previous regime that sure are still making plays. At least one of them it still is. The rest of them are kind of just doing the same thing they did here in the desert. But it is really encouraging. And like people say, like my Twitter mentions were so full of people saying like, why win? Like, way to ruin your draft pick. And it's just, to me, that's just ignorant. That's not being able to see the forest through the trees as far as what Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon, the groundwork that they're laying here. And it's so crazy to me to see like people are already saying like, just for example, like Keon Coleman. It's like, oh, he's not going to go below this draft position, or you're not going to be able to get this guy here.
November, bro.
It's college football season is still in full swing. We haven't even started the draft process. The pre-draft process is like what you thought you knew to be true as far as last year's draft. How's Bryce Young look like? Is he the consensus number one quarterback in the draft any longer? No, he didn't even. He's not. What do we think about CJ Stroud? I mean, all the things that people are talking, and they're talking definitively about so many things where we have no clue. And like one thing I do know is I trust Monty Ossenfort to be just an absolute just tape warrior. And he's going to be watching all the film on all these prospects. And he's probably going to produce another rock solid draft class. And he's probably going to invest in some pretty good free agents to bolster this roster.
People are freaking out because the Houston pick, and I get it. Like, I wanted 2 top 10 picks too. Like, CeeDee Lamb went like 18th. Justin Jefferson went in the 20s. It's okay. We're going to be all right. Lindenbaum, who should have been a Cardinal, went like late 20s. Kyle Hamilton had a pick 6 yesterday. He went in the 20s. Good players are found throughout the first round. The Cardinals have had,
because good organizations, they make those selections.
Right. The Cardinals have had plenty of top 10 picks that they literally farted on, and the player couldn't make it out of their rookie contract. You want to go through them? Everybody wants to talk to me about this Penn State offensive tackle. I'm sure he's good. I have PTSD over a certain Penn State tackle that they took named Levi Bust Brown. He was a top 5 pick. They're not all equal. It's about who's pulling the trigger. You want to you want to just have top 10 picks for the sake of having them, or you want the guy that's in charge of Dante Stills, B.J. Ojolari, Garrett Williams, who have 3 of the 4 top defensive PFF grades from yesterday. You want that guy running the show? I do. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with him having a pick in the 20s and being able to navigate it correctly. I'm also okay with, better than okay, seeing everybody at yesterday's Gila River Wild Horse Pass draft party, watch party. My guy Chase in the chat was there, $5 super chat. It's been a long time since I've been able to celebrate alongside other passionate Cardinal fans like we did at the watch party. Thanks, PHNX. Thank you, Chase. Chase was there. We had another Chase, friend of the program. He was there. Jessica was there. Again, drop a like if you were at the watch party. Drop a note. We'll read it here on the show. You guys are flipping fantastic. Had a great time. Wild Horse Pass, man. If you haven't been out there, check out the sports book. Check out they've got Top Golf. The food was immaculate. The huge screens. Not like big flat screens. They have those too, but like huge projector screens. Had a great time at Wild Horse Pass. Had a great time dabbling with my friends at BetMGM yesterday. Listen, I didn't cash in on my Murray parlay pick because there were a couple Murray parlay picks that I've had. I think I had like 3 out of 5 on the pregame show. And again, that's over 60%. I'll take that as a professional bettor. I should have just done like straight up Cards money line with, Kyler Murray total in yardage, or Kyler Murray anytime touchdown was always my go-to circa 2001. And of course that hit yesterday. We're going to help you hit every day. Yeah, it's a great one. You want to dabble on Broncos Bills tonight? God love you. Bet 10, get 200. $10, get $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of the outcome of your wager. All you got to do, download the BetMGM Sportsbook app, iOS, Android. Visit BetMGM.com. Sign up with bonus code PHNX. Again, 10 spots going to get you $200 in bonus bets, regardless of the wager's outcome. So if you're thinking Denver Broncos can win their 3rd straight under fraudulent Sean Payton against the reeling Buffalo Bills, $10 money line, $10 over under, whatever you want to do, $200 instantly. But you got to use the bonus code PHNX. Check out the show notes for full details. Now listen to my guy Shane Diefenbach talk about it in the disclaimer.
Problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
My guy Johnny misspeaking, saying 2001 he's betting Kyler Murray anytime touchdowns. Or
2021.
You were there when he was 5 years old, just betting anytime tutties on Pee-wee football. Kyler Murray. Kevin Murray just there on the sidelines, like get this degenerate away from the children. Or you're saying 2021, much probably more lucrative year for you. But also let's talk about lucrative. You can save yourself some money getting the best deal of the season with our friends over at Shady Rays. Shady Rays, of course, they got those premium polarized shades that look amazing. They're durable. It's an independent sunglasses company that likes to keep their price point well under $100, and you could save even more by using that promo code PHNX to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of sunglasses. Like you get 2 or 3 pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses for the price that it would cost you to get, big brand name sunglasses that you're just buying for the logo on the side of the frames. Why not switch to one that's durable, extremely clear for optics, keep your eyes looking fresh and keeping them safe from that sun? Shady Rays, they also have an insane protection on all their eyewear. If you lose, you break your sunglasses, they're going to replace them. Basically, no questions asked. Go to shadyrays.com, use the promo code PHNX, and find out why 250,000 people rate them 5 stars. ShadyRays.com. Shady Rays up in Kierland Commons here in AZ.
Mike, $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Little draft talk here. Malik Napers or Keon Coleman with the other first rounder. I'm down for that. I was texting somebody today, and I get it. The Cardinals need a lot of help defensively, but with what Gannon and company have been able to do with these mid to late round picks, it's malpractice. I know, with the state of this defense. You just want to go offense, first 3 picks. I don't have a problem with that. You want to give Kyler Murray a franchise left tackle, get him another wideout, maybe a guard, maybe a center, maybe a running back. Just load up the offense. this defense right now, I think we're not spend too much time on it, trending up, trending down, coming up, could see a couple names on there, but it just feels like they have no business being as fundamentally sound and as good as they are. They were a couple egregious officiating calls yesterday from keeping Atlanta under 20 points. And the best part about it is they're getting better. The young players are playing. They're finding players that contribute outside of the premium rounds at premium positions. Dante Steele, defensive tackle. Garrett Williams, cornerback. B.J. Ojulari, pass rusher. Like, you want to spend your premium picks if you're JG. You're a defensive head coach. Go load up the offense with Kyler Murray. I think that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Nah, I want the defensive side loaded because I think Kyler can already play that complementary football, go down there and get points. If you keep the opposing offense, you get them off the field, especially with what I've liked from the calls from Rawlis and Jonathan Gannon. I'd love to see a defensive player, but, Malik Neighbors emerging. Jaden Daniels just having a Heisman Trophy caliber season for LSU, and Neighbors a big part of that with what the Tigers do offensively. And then Keon Coleman, who I mentioned earlier in the show, 6'4" playmaker, just so much athleticism. Like, those are great consolation prizes to the Marvin Harrison Jr. sweepstakes. And we'll get more into the draft talk, but great to see Mike back in the chat. Haven't seen him for a while. Mike. Good to have him back, chatting it up with the rest of all you out there. So excited to talk more draft, but also excited to see who Johnny's got trending up and down this week.
Okay, so full transparency, I don't have Trey McBride on my list because he can't trend any higher than the highest of heights. So we're going to let Bo talk about Trey McBride in a second. Here's who I like. You want to start with trending down? You always like to start with trending down. You want me to start with trending down?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here's what I'm going to say is trending down. Pour one out for all the haters this week because the haters are trending down. Damon, we got it. They're the haters. Mike Florio and company, the keyboard warriors, the people that thought the Cardinals were going to be the worst team since the Browns winless season.
How sad Florio is.
Yeah. The Detroit Lions put the Arizona Cardinals in there. No, Cardinals they're fine. They're 1-0 with Kyler Murray. So pour one out, trending down for the haters. Also trending down 2024 draft QBs. Caleb Williams lost his 4th straight game. Drake Maye was fine against a school that I don't think anybody here knows where it's at. ACC bottom feeders. That's great. You want to get fired up about that? You're a New York Giants fan, New England Patriot fan. Go nuts. Like, Cardinals have a quarterback that's winning on Sundays against NFL competition. I don't need to see Drake Maye against future, barbers and insurance salesmen. I'm sure he's going to be good, but Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, go to another franchise. I don't want to talk about them anymore. Cardinals need to keep winning, and I think they will. And then my lone Cardinal, like Zach Pascal, bro, had the lowest PFF grade, dropped a pass yesterday. Like, we can't put you in the lineup, man, if you can't catch the football. And I like Zach Pascal. He's a great guy, great special teamer. Feels like the 4 or 5 times I've seen him offensively this year, he's dropped every pass. He led to the Dobbs infamous pick 6 against the Cincinnati Bengals. I saw him yesterday, and the GM Saul Bookman's like, "Who the F is that?" And I'm like, "Get him out." Pascal up out of the game. So Zach, go play special teams. We got enough wideouts. Greg Dortch, yes, please get in the lineup. Zach Pascal, please come out.
Not bad. I like the list. I liked how sad Mike Florio looked in your picture. It's pretty fantastic. And look, it doesn't just stop with Florio. There's a ton of haters out there. There's a ton of people that bet against Kyler Murray, and they looked a little foolish after week 1. And I've got a little. Mine is kind of like that, but a little tweaked. But let's get into my trending down graphic here. Let's get into my candidates. And Marco Wilson just can't he can't get out of his own way. And look at this photo. And we've got the same sad photo of Mike Florio on here. It's like, I feel like that photo of Florio, even though he's clearly in colder weather, is watching Kyler Murray rush 13 yards on a play where he actually ran for 70 yards for a huge first down to put the Cardinals in a prime position to win a football game. But Marco Wilson, that play, as you mentioned yesterday in the post game with Drake London, just felt like he gave up on that play. And, I didn't think that Marco Wilson could trend any further down this season, but he managed to do so. I thought he had a good play against Kyle Pitts on a pass breakup yesterday, and maybe he might start trending in the right direction. And then, when the game is in the balance, that's a big third down that Desmond Ridder and Drake London are able to convert because Marco Wilson just wasn't full maximum effort. So that's unfortunate. And, I hope at some point he's able to turn it around, because I'm texting you about just red flagged cornerbacks that are getting dropped by organizations around the league because of how bad the outside cornerback position's been. So, I think Marco Wilson, man, I mean, any signs of life from him the rest of the season would be a positive for this team.
Yeah, it's not even fun to talk about him anymore, because he was a guy I thought should have contended for an extension before the season. He's gone the opposite way. And like, that shouldn't happen with Gannon, who's a defensive back savant. So it's just like, with each passing game, would it surprise you if he wasn't on the team next year? I would say no. Like, and I don't want that for the person, because I've met him, super friendly guy, very friendly. Like, he threw the shoe at Florida. It was a great story. He fell to the Cardinals. He was productive early. It may just be he's not the right fit here. And I think that maybe you can go out and sell him to Vance Joseph in Denver if he keeps his job, and you can swing a late round pick. But Garrett Williams, very good fit, clearly. Like, you don't even see Garrett Williams because he's covering his opposing man every Sunday. They don't even throw his way. He was elite again this weekend. Antonio Hamilton's been solid. They need a 1A cornerback, though, and that will be a priority this offseason, whether through the draft. I think they'll spend some money on a veteran in free agency. Marco's got a 7-game audition, but it hasn't gone well for him this year. So we knew there were going to be some casualties on this roster when this season started. Like, as good as Trey McBride looks from the old regime being drafted, that's the opposite of what Marco Wilson is doing right now.
Yeah, correct. And then I've got on this on my trending down, and this is on a game week by week basis, but the last 5 weeks, our guy Hollywood Brown hasn't been trending in the right direction. And I thought with the return of Kyler Murray, we were going to see at least something to more than one catch for 28 yards. And was that AJ Terrell's doing? Was he a little sticky in coverage? Would he put the clamps down on old Hollywood Brown? I mean, he's still got to produce more than that. And I'm looking at his last 5 games, 18 catches for 168 yards and a touchdown. Like, that's just not enough production for what, Brad Spielberger of Pro Football Focus said he's going to command on the free agent market. Like, you're going to have to get, like, he's got to be trending. He's got to buck this trend right now and get going the right way. In a 1-catch, 28-yard performance, I know Kyler Murray came out and put a little too much steam on his first pass of the season to him, and he could have gotten some chunk yardage, some yak on that. But you got to be more of an impact player the rest of the way.
My son went to the game yesterday. My parents were in town. They took him to the game, bought a Hollywood Brown jersey before the game. And I said, did you keep the receipt? You might need to trade that in for a certain number 85. That might be more beneficial, but no, he's a jersey fiend. He'll wear any jersey. And I like Hollywood Brown.
Which one did he get? The red, the black, the white?
The red. Yeah, he's got a white Kyler Murray that he gets Lunchable marinara on every day. So God bless my wife. We're staying stick in that. And he's got a black Buda Baker jersey. So he's got a nice trio of jerseys now, but I mean, the 85, I would be guessing is going to be on Santa's list this year.
You have a little creeper just coming down your cheek. Is it a little dusty in here, son? If you walk in your Trey McBride jersey.
But no, I mean, I like Hollywood. We got a lot of time to talk about Hollywood.
Hollywood has been, what Hollywood Brown has done is, from his actions, the way he's practiced, the way he's conducted himself in the press room, in the locker room, the way he's been a hype man for his guy Kyler Murray. Hollywood Brown,
it's a results business.
It is,
and it's a dollars and cents business. And it's the conversation we had about Kyler Murray that hopefully we can put to bed soon. They're going to have that to a lesser extent with Hollywood Brown. Like, Hollywood Brown could come to the Cardinals and say, I want to come back on a 1-year deal, prove it deal, and play all year with Kyler Murray. And they would love that, right?
Yeah.
But does anybody think that's going to happen? No, I mean, he wants to get paid. And if Carolina could get desperate this offseason, all that money and no wins with, bust Bryce Young, they could say, we're going to give Hollywood Brown $20 million. Like, if you're asking me today, if he's back next year, I would say no, based on one game. Now, we'll do this like week to week. He could go off for 150 this week, leading to a dub, and you'd feel pretty good about it. And we shouldn't be this reactionary. Who is Kyler Murray having success with right now? Big, physical targets. He's an undersized player. So pair him with James Conner, Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, one of these first-round receivers that are 6 foot and above. Hollywood Brown, I hope, is the exception, but I'm not sure. Here's what I like trending up this week, Bo Brock. I mean, a couple of them are obvious, but Let's start with the young man at LSU, B.J. Ojulari, who we were concerned about because this entire rookie class is popping off, balling, right? Well, B.J. Ojulari said, hold my beer. I'm going to come out and sack Desmond Ritter / Taylor Heineke twice yesterday. I put this out on Twitter. He's got more sacks than Will Anderson Jr. I know that's not everything, and Will Anderson Jr. is the analytical darling, and he's like number one in run defense. But Will Anderson Jr. went third overall. Like, you go third overall, and this is the conversation that Bo and I had with draft people for 6 fucking months in the offseason. You have to be the complete total package. You can't be Marcus Golden. You can't be, a situational pass rusher, Sam Acho. You got to be a star. And right now, he has more sacks than Will Anderson Jr. in much less time. So B.J. Ojulari looks like he's finally figured it out. He played his most snaps yesterday. Fired up, man. He was smoking their tackle left and right. He beat the tight end. I mean, you see number 18 out there gaining confidence, and I'm just like, man, we haven't had that since Chandler Jones. That's great to see. It's also great. Greg Dortch, part of the program, friend of the program, for the brand, game-changing play yesterday, the punt return. I mean, sensational, right? The ability to get like really knocked on the head and kind of collect himself and then add about 50 yards additionally to that, flip field position. He's electric. Again, I'd love to see him be a part of this passing game, maybe with Kyler back, that comes to fruition. Carter O'Donnell yesterday. Does anybody know who this is? He was their left guard. He was really good yesterday. No Dennis Daly, no Elijah Wilkinson. Carter O'Donnell had a 70-plus passer block rating, according to PFF. Did not embarrass himself yesterday. Young player. They said, that's enough of Dennis Daly. Can we take a minute? We don't want any more part of this. And look, like I thought, for the most part, when they weren't blitzing, Cardinals were winning against their front four. Like I didn't see Calais Campbell at all yesterday. So I give credit where credit's due. He did a nice job. Kelvin Beachum, I thought, was solid. Different story these next couple weeks against the Rams front and the Pittsburgh Steelers. But for what the Atlanta Falcons posed and didn't pose in that game, offensive line, Carter O'Donnell, nice job.
I love your list. I think that you took my criticism in our game predictions on Friday, going too much chalk.
No, don't give yourself credit.
Little deeper
that's
cuts.
Not what happened.
You pulled out a Carter O'Donnell for your trending up. I mean, just good. Well done. That's the trending up version of hipster picks right there. That's like saying
I am a hipster at heart.
My favorite band is the Smiths. That's what you're doing. That's what you did right there, and I can appreciate it. I think Damon Dog appreciates it well. The Canadian Carter O'Donnell, I believe, hails from Alberta. I think he went to like Alberta University. And
he's 24,
fantastic.
He's 24 years old. Play him.
Yeah,
play him.
He was a guy that he came over with familiarity of the Cardinals offensive line coach. And after kind of the rosters were set, he was a late addition. And he's somebody that was given an opportunity because, as you pointed out, I guess the left guard position being in flux. The B.J. Ojulari thing, you talk about how he's been against the run and how fantastic Will Anderson's been. That's something that JG mentioned today. Like when he was asked about B.J. Ojulari, he said he's actually really good. He was good in the run yesterday. And then add 2 sacks on top of that, 3 on the season. B.J. Ojulari is starting to kind of find his legs at the NFL level. I think it's a fantastic list. And then, so let's take a look at mine. I did go chalk. I did go chalk with my list. Let's see who I have trending up this week. Kyler Murray, K1, franchise quarterback. You ever heard of him? He came back 249 yards through the air, just under 7.5 yards per attempt. Getting it going there, throwing the ball down the field. Cardinals offense getting a little bit more vertical than we've seen all season long outside of one game from Joshua Dobbs against the Dallas Cowboys. And then Trey McBride, what he was able to do, just completely dominate poor Richie Grant, who, let's play the video. This is what Trey McBride, this is the confidence that Trey McBride and Kyler Murray have in each other, and poor Richie Grant that was just absolutely destroyed in my Twitter mentions today, the safety for the Falcons.
A little bit, I told Kyler, I usually don't tell him what to do, but I said, if this guy gets me man-to-man, I've been killing him all game, just give me a chance. And he did exactly that. I ran the route actually a little different than I had all game. But for the whole game, I was crossing that dude's face, and he was playing real outside on me, and he wasn't going to let me, so I had to take it real high. Kyler launched it a mile in the air, and I just had to come back, and I was trying to get a PI call at the least, and I truthfully came back, caught the ball, and kind of sealed up the deal. So that was very cool, very special to me, and I'm thankful that Kyler gave me a chance on that.
I mean, I don't know if Richie Grant ever comes back from this. Like, people were tagging him and just saying, you know, how could you let this man do this and then talk about it in the post game after doing so? Made this like no. I know Trey McBride's not a household name outside of the Venerables and most Cardinals fans' households, but people in Atlanta were just absolutely just furious with the play from their safety. And for Kyler Murray and Trey McBride to be able to do that to an opposing player and fan base, you love to see it. You got to be trending up. First time since 1989, the Cardinals have had a 100-yard receiver at the tight end position, Robert Awalt. It's unreal. They finally ended the horrific skid.
Yeah, I apologize. I usually try to keep it together on this podcast. I get emotional when Trey McBride talks. That is a special player. I think we can all. I was tearing up when he was talking just now because it's like, oh my God, we finally did it. It's taken 40 years. That is the best tight end that this franchise has had in like 3+ decades, and you saw it yesterday. And I know people are like, don't overreact, and I know you have one more trending up, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Look at Trey McBride, how he talks, moves, operates. That is an absolute freak show. And it's translated from Colorado State to the NFL where he is embarrassing people. I watched the All-22 today. The first tackle attempt by them, every time, he was just throwing people off of him. I mean, this was not, and I like Drew Petzing. I know he's on your list. This was not schemed up. This was Kyler Murray's like, oh, this guy is instant yak production. And I all over Twitter this morning, as much as people are back on Kyler Murray's bandwagon, it's like, oh, Trey McBride's probably like a top 3 to 5 tight end in the NFL. The Cardinals, we got new people following the team. That's awesome. They have never, ever had this, ever, in the history of the franchise. Like circa Jackie Smith, 40 years ago. They get a flash in the pan. Guy has a good game every now and then. They have been looking for a tight end. And listen, gives people, it's a dirty word here, give Steve Keim credit. Like, this kid fell to them out of Colorado State.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love the pick at the time. And then the more you watch, it's like, oh, this guy has the skill set. If you go back and watch his college highlights for a bad Colorado State team, to be a top tight end in the NFL. So, yeah, it's a special thing.
Steve Keim had the hit rate in the draft like my grandparents had on like Christmas presents. It's like, oh, cool. Another sweater vest.
Throwing shade at your grandparents?
Wait, another sweat. Like, they just weren't, as far as giving gifts.
Oh, an needling kit?
Yeah, fantastic. And then
Grandma's
sometimes they hit me with an RC remote control car. Like, and then that's your Trey McBride. 1 out of 10 ain't bad. Still, grandparents still love them. I mean, you can look at PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter. We put out, all the targets from Trey McBride, and it's just impressive in the different variety, the diversity of his route tree in the different ways that they got him involved, whether it was like underneath, tight end screens, over the middle, down the sideline. I think the fourth one was just a beautiful ball from Kyler Murray, him basically laying out with pass interference, still hauling it in. It was just an unbelievable play. And then the one he talked about, the huge play that put him in the primo position to win the football game, 33 yards down the field, where he came back to the ball. Just really impressive day from Trey McBride. And to your point, like, the most talented tight end. It's not Troy Nicholas out of Notre Dame. It's not, Zach Ertz coming over from Philly and enjoying a career resurgence. And it's not,
Rob Hausler.
Todd Heat coming back to the desert where he's played at ASU and stuff like that. It's the guy that they tabbed. He's 55th overall. It was their top draft pick, that draft, because they traded away their first for Hollywood. They get him out of the Mountain West, and Trey McBride it took a little bit of time, but it's translating now to the NFL level.
I mean, it should not have taken a Zach Ertz injury, and I think Gannon wanted to be respectful of Ertz. They kept him around. He's a leader in the locker room. Trey McBride's a top 10 player on this team right now, and that's not like hyperbole, and that's also probably an indication of the Cardinals roster, but like, we're going to look back. This is the turning point, in my opinion. When you got Kyler Murray back, the keys to your franchise, and Kyler Murray identifies Trey McBride, like, the seam routes yesterday where Kyler Murray hits him in stride 5 yards downfield, that's unguardable. Like, that's what Brock Purdy's doing every week with George Kittle. That's instant yardage. Think about how difficult this offense would look under Cliff Kingsbury at times. And again, I'm not knocking Cliff. We're just comparing now with Drew Petzing. I know he's in your trending up. You've got people now to mitigate some of what went wrong with this team in the past. Kyler deserves playmakers to get him yards after catch, and outside of DeAndre Hopkins has never had that consistently. what did his two playmakers do yesterday that he fed the ball? Michael Wilson made 3 people miss en route to what should have been a touchdown, and Trey McBride absolutely destroyed the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, that, and I like Hollywood Brown, that you got to have that ability, and we got to see that, or top end speed, over the top speed, to keep you and pay you $20 million. Because what we saw from Trey McBride, because we always knew he could do that. Could he integrate the blocking? They were waiting on that to come. He had a slow start to camp. We've seen it now. He's 23 years old. He's making no money for the next 2.5 years. He, like I said this yesterday on the post-game show before you jumped on, and when you jumped on, like, dump out your Brock Bowers stock. That ain't happening. It's over for Brock.
He had a triumphant return for the Bulldogs this week. But you're right. I mean,
and
that was my main point. Like, I never said utilize a top 10 pick on Brock Bowers. I've never said that.
You said use the first overall pick.
No, yeah, I never said that. That's putting words in my mouth. To answer Jessica's question, does Ertz come back as tight end 1? No. It's just, I don't think that Trey McBride relinquishes this at all. And that's not an indictment. That's not, anything that Ertz did wrong. It's just look way back. He got Wally pipped. That's, the story of, Wally Pipp is out sick for a game or injured for a game, and Lou Gehrig subbed in for him, and the rest is history. He went 2,131 straight games without moving out of his first base position, and Wally Pipp had to go probably find work elsewhere.
I mean, Brock Bowers to me is a Steve Keim pick, but Steve Keim thankfully prevented that from happening with the drafting of Trey McBride. It's very poetic if you think about it. And now the Cardinals, they need star players. That's not news to anybody. That's a star. What we saw yesterday, 130 yards, 16 yards per catch from a tight end. That's a star in the NFL. That gets people to perk up and say, when we game plan against the Cardinals, it's not just Kyler Murray and a bunch of B and C receivers. They have a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. That's like the Cardinals with Monty Osborne and Jonathan Gannon have done a tremendous job in laying the foundation for the meat of this roster beyond this year. Dante Stills, B.J. Ojulari, Garrett Williams, and some of them may become stars, but they're not stars today, right? We just hope second contracts, good players, starters. Trey McBride has Pro Bowl, All-Pro potential at the position. You saw that yesterday. It's not an overreaction. They need to hit on those kind of players. That's what separated San Francisco. That's what separated Seattle during their heyday with Russell Wilson. The Cardinals need to become an organization where they're not paying for stars past their prime in free agency. They are finding their own star players on cheap deals in rounds 2 through 7. And again, Steve Keim gets the credit for that, but Osborne and Gannon now and Drew Petzing are putting Trey McBride in a position to do this. So that's a coup for them. That's why this season is playing out the way it is. You had to see who was worth keeping, McBride, and who wasn't, Isaiah Simmons from the prior regime.
My last trending up for this week, going into week 11, post week 10, is Drew Petzing, the Arizona Cardinals offensive coordinator. We said that the pressure was on Petzing. Came out of the gates a little sluggish with Kyler Murray 3 and out to start. And then he and Kyler and the Cardinals offense, they had 4 straight scoring drives. And they had total yardage wise, their 4th best performance of the season, right on par with those games that we mentioned, like the before Dobbs' production fell off a cliff with the Cowboys, the Giants, the Niners performances. This offense is right there against the Atlanta Falcons. That's what we asked for from Drew Petzing and crew. I thought, Britton Golden, he said on the podcast yesterday, I got to give him his flowers, because BG was also one of those guys hey, this has got to be, with what Dobbs is doing in Minneapolis, that could be an indictment on Petzing, last couple of weeks, but Petzing was able to get back on track, better quarterback play, and the offense was able to play that complementary football that it couldn't the previous couple of weeks. And to bounce off an historically bad performance in Cleveland, to pivot with Kyler Murray in there, get the run pass going, getting James Conner back, getting James Conner looking like he did before the injury. James Conner, I think, had 4.6 yards per carry yesterday. James Conner hasn't had under 4.4 yards per carry this season. Is at 5.2 yards per carry a game this season. James Conner is playing at a high level, and he obviously elevates this offense and makes Drew Petzing's job easier, but Petzing took advantage of it.
And my biggest indictment on Petzing was when James Conner wasn't available, this offense struggled. And now, of course, you have him and Kyler Murray, but to his credit, when he's had James Conner, this is an above average top 15 offense in the NFL. So I'll give him credit. And again, he's the one that's now unlocking. It's an offense that features the tight end. Like, we know that. Like, David Njoku had a really good season, but this is the Kyle Shanahan offense. Look at the tight ends that are succeeding in the NFL. George Kittle with Kyle Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell, who came from the Shanahan tree, TJ Hawkinson, right? Speaking of Trey McBride, and people still want to kind of be told that it's for real, right? Like, outside of yesterday, well, here's some tweets that I took. One from our guy, Brad Spielberger from Pro Football Focus, tweeted this out today. If we've got that, Damon Dog. Brad Spielberger, Trey McBride in week 10, 8 catches, 131, 63 yards after the catch, 3 missed tackles for us, 94.3 PFF grade, last 5 games. So outside, and this is including the abomination that was Cleveland, where the Cardinals just punted that game. 28 receptions, third among tight ends, 6 contested catches. That's first in the NFL, not first in the NFC West or the NFC, the entire NFL. 10 explosive receptions of 15 plus yards. That's tied for second. 156 yards after the catch. That's fourth. That's with Dobbs, Clayton Tune, in 1 game of Kyler Murray, last 5 games. And then Ian Hartitz on Twitter, who does fantasy football, most yards per route this season. Travis Kelce, 2.43. Trey McBride right behind him, 2.39. Most targets per route, Kelce, 28.5. McBride, 27.4. So that's the company that Trey McBride is keeping. So I will not calm the F down as it relates to Trey McBride. Trey McBride is in the company right now of guys like Hawkinson and guys like Travis Kelce and guys like George Kittle. And when you watch him play, that's who he looks like. So again, if he looked like they're scheming it up, and he, with respect to Max Williams, who's in the right position to make a play, and he's kind of lumbering out there, when Trey McBride catches the football, he is looking to inflict damage and pain on people. Mm-hmm. He is looking to run over and run through people. When was the last time they've had anybody like that? They haven't. They just haven't.
Never. And 1989, last century mark. And then you look across the sidelines and you see Kyle Pitts with an uninspired 3 for 30. A guy that was 4th overall in the draft.
Who'd you rather have right now? I think it's obvious.
I mean, one is held back by poor quarterback play and obviously the scheme and the play caller. But I mean, I don't think you could deny right now Trey McBride's playing at a lot higher level, no doubt about it. So
Junior in the chat asking, did Trey McBride have 100 or 1,000 yards at Colorado? So let me read you his Colorado stats. Let me just real quick.
I think it's 191.
Okay, so Trey McBride at Colorado State, he had, pull this up here. This isn't good podcasting. I apologize. Great. This is really good stuff for our viewers at home. It was like Trey McBride in the Mountain West, his last year, 1,100 yards, 1 touchdown as a senior at Colorado State.
Yeah, he was the tight end of the year in college football. He was the top prospect. He was the consensus. Yeah. So, and that's translating, and I think that they can obviously utilize him a little bit better in the red zone. But Cardinals have a lot of weapons in the red zone. It's really going to be fascinating to see how they get that going, how they develop when they're in close. Because as you said, between the 20s, really impressive stuff.
Yeah, it moved at ease. Let's get to some of these super chats. Mike, $5, best draft since 2004, Fitz Dansby docket. Antonio Smith, you know your history, my guy, Mike, in the 5th round. That's the greatest draft of all time. I would love it to just stack up to like half of that. Fantastic.
I mean, Ojulari changes the perception of that draft. Like we knew it was a solid, maybe double draft, right? Can turn it to a triple and as high as a home run. Like Keitrell Clark working his way back. It feels like Keitrell Clark fell out of favor with this coaching staff, poor performances, and they just couldn't have on both sides at the cornerback position guys that were struggling along with Marco Wilson, Keitrell Clark. He was back on special teams, but the performance from Paris Johnson Jr., Ojulari getting 2 sacks to, your 2 third rounders and Wilson and Garrett Williams performing at a high level. I mean, you've got 4 solid players, I think 4 starters right there in your first 4 picks. And then we'll see what happens with John Gaines. And once he comes back from his injury, can he be the guy in the interior of the offensive line going forward? Clayton Tune's got a role, I think, maybe at some point as the backup quarterback. He's got a role on this team right now. Owen Papo, I think, projects a couple of years down the line as maybe a guy that sees snaps on the defensive side as an off-ball linebacker. And we'll see what happens with Keitrell. Dante Stills, again, balled out yesterday. Loved what I saw for, I want to say now 4 games running from 55 out of West Virginia.
He had a pressure up the middle that directly led to a sack in the red zone. I mean, just a 6th-rounder is your best defensive tackle. Color me shocked. We're going to talk draft here in a second, but before we do that, I'm not shocked by the success I'm having with my friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. Desert Financial, the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals and the Venerable House. We use it. We love it. Represent the Red Sea with the Arizona Cardinals Visa debit card. I do on a daily basis, get a ton of compliments, but it's the minutia. It's the goods with Desert Financial, and they got them. Checking accounts, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment opportunities, and more. For 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest and most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. Again, I had an older credit union I was using. I pivoted. Now I get my money quick, fast, and in a hurry with the Up-Team locations here in the Valley. Show your team spirit. Open a free checking account online. Get an Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Go to desertfinancial.com/Cardinals, Bo, to get started.
That's right. You got to have a solid credit union when your son's going out there and buying one-and-done jerseys. You're just shelling out.
Thankfully, his grandparents pulled the trigger on that one.
There you go. Perfect. One thing you're not going to spend a ton of money on is our friends over at Arizona Family Sports. Trying to find the Suns game on TV, it's never been more free than right now. At the very least, you could get a coat hanger and get some rabbit ears on top of your television. Let's get something a little classier than that. It's not going to break your bank either. And get Arizona Family Sports on your television. Up next, Suns game that we have on tap is the 15th, taking on the T-Wolves. That's Wednesday. Watch the Suns and KD take on Anthony Edwards and crew. Don't miss out. You won't once you find out where you can find Arizona Family's 3 TV, Arizona Family Sports in your location. Here in the Valley, you've got it 3 TV, channel 44. Also, you can check out the easiest way. Just go to their website, azfamily.com. Click Suns Games for listing information in your area. You're in Flagstaff, you're in Tucson, you're in Yuma. Figure out where you can check out your favorite basketball team, play hoops on TV on Arizona's Family Sports, azfamily.com. It's where to watch.
More super chats. Mike at $2. Bo, I'm still keeping Clancy company over at Locked On, your old stomping grounds. We love Clancy here.
Yeah. Did you lose too many brain cells, Mike? Is that why you made your way over to the PHNX Cardinals? Were you tired of watching what looked like a hostage video of Alex Clancy do his live stream on Locked On? No, I love Alex. I text with Alex every day, and I feel like I lose brain cells.
This is not Alex Clancy. This is Alex. $4.99 super chat. Kyler won a game, and Flora wants to talk about how the Josh Dobbs trade was terrible. What a clown! You just can't win with people, man. Again, like I put it out there on Twitter today, like. There are people that talk about Zach Wilson the way they talk about Kyler Murray and vice versa. And it's just like one of these guys is a Pro Bowler. And one of these guys is an unmitigated bust disaster. And you would think they're like the same player the way people talk about them. So we'll carry the water for K1 on this show. Florio's welcome back on this podcast, though, anytime he wants to come on.
Florio is Michael Myers as far as his hatred for the Arizona Cardinals. Every time you think that, just the play on the field or the organization's actions and them paying off and showing a true sense of direction instead of what Florio's narrative is, he comes back and he's got his knife and he's like, no, they should have sat Kyler Murray or they needed to get more for Joshua Dobbs. It's idiotic. It's just like, dude, you sitting there and you're playing Monday morning quarterback with every one of the Arizona Cardinals moves to benefit your narrative. It's you're losing more and more people's clicks. They're not gonna read your stuff, watch you anymore because it's ridiculous at this point. To say that they should have gotten more for Joshua Dobbs is ridiculous, or should have held out. I think one of his points was they should have held out, kept Dobbs on the roster, and then they could have gotten the pick after the season. It's like Dobbs wasn't going to play any longer. You're not going to get a compensatory pick for a guy that was sitting on the bench holding the clipboard for Kyler Murray.
It's like they have 13 draft picks. I think they're in pretty good shape for this draft, Mike. And you're not getting a 1 or a 2 for Joshua Dobbs. I think the Cardinals, again, like we talked about, are now known as a place where like people can come and have success, and then you'll be released, traded if you got like an heir apparent. Kyler Murray was the starter, and I think part of the reason he's upset is because he was wrong. And like, shout out Pat McAfee, friend of the program, basically calling out Michael Lombardi from his own show, and you called him out, Bo, basically saying like he was wrong about Kyler Murray.
No, that wasn't even Lombardi. That was from Pro Football Network. That was from an article, Lorenzo Reyna, who was saying like this word salad of saying like the Cardinals sources close to the situation say that the Cardinals are privately deciding if Kyler Murray should sit out the whole season.
He's the guy who has like 20 credentials in his Twitter bio.
Yeah, all you have to know is he doesn't have any Twitter. He doesn't accept Twitter replies. And I'm sure he got ratioed to the Sun and no longer could take it any longer because it was false reporting. There was at 0 point this season that the Arizona Cardinals consider sitting Kyler Murray.
No, they want to play him. They want to win games. They won yesterday. Jay, $5 super sticker. Thank you so much, Jay. Appreciate that. My guy, if you've got a question, you couldn't get it in there, we'll be sure to read it off of the live chat. Let's talk a little draft, folks. Arizona Cardinals win, and they move down in the draft. Not too far. Damon Dogg's got the updated draft order here. So it has changed from our postgame show yesterday to now, with the win last night on Sunday Night Football by the Las Vegas Raiders. So now what's happening? Cardinals are picking 4th. Patriots are 3rd. Giants are 2nd. Bears are 1. I'm going to tell you right now, 2 of those 3 teams are not going to leave their spot in the top 3. Like that, they get comfortable, Patriots, Giants, and Bears fans. Like I saw something today, Bo, that still had the Cardinals as like the 3rd best odds in front of New England to get the number 1 pick. It's like, in what world? With Zappy Dew and Mac Jones over Kyler Murray, but unequivocally the best odds to have the number 1 overall pick are either the Bears and the Giants. The Cardinals very steady, and we're going to do a mock draft here with the PFF simulator at number 4. But I mean, I think that the Cardinals are going to continue to move down, and these teams, man, dumpster fire at quarterback, not a good combination if you're trying to secure wins at the end of the year.
No, and the Bears pick is the Carolina Panthers pick. That if you watch them on Thursday Night Football, I know they're getting J.C. Horn back, the talented cornerback at some point, but it's not going to fix their offensive woes.
No.
You know, Carolina, it's gonna have a tough time just falling into the worst of all realities, where they traded all that huge haul to get Bryce Young, and he just hasn't impressed anybody and been able to really move the football down the field. Barring any changes as far as that in his play, Carolina just can't do enough to get themselves out of the spot. Bears would have it. The Giants are, I mean, they're not going to win another football game. They're just not. They got DeVito back there.
They shouldn't really, honestly.
And DeVito already has more touchdown passes than Daniel Jones. So it's just like complete huge disaster there. And then, I mean, it's interchangeable as how bad the quarterback play is between Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. The Cardinals are in a pretty good spot to where they can take themselves out of the quarterback conversation. Kyler Murray over the next 7 games can continue to entrench himself, solidify himself as a future at the quarterback position. And then they can just pivot to, okay, which one of these non-quarterback prospects are going to utilize our 2 first-round picks on? Maybe they can take advantage of some more quarterback-hungry teams, depending on where the final draft chips fall as far as that order goes.
We like to educate here when we do mock drafts. We like to have fun, but then my fun gets hampered when I see Tankathon, which I like their website, has the Cardinals taking Brock Bowers 4th overall. So we're not going to do that here. We play big boy mock draft football here via the PFF mock draft simulator. Bo, would you let me know when you can see my screen?
I can see it.
Oh, perfect. Rock solid 2024 mock draft.
How many rounds
simulator.
Are we going?
We're gonna go 1 round. Is that okay?
No.
You want to go 2 rounds?
Let's go 2 rounds.
All right, we'll go 2 rounds.
I think at some point we need to start extending into the 3rd round because they have those 6 picks, and I think it's really going to get people frothing at the mouth to see how much talent this team can infuse the roster with just through the draft alone.
I don't think I need to click Houston. I think the Cardinals will just be covered by their own pick because you don't see pick 20 on here. Remember, Houston has a 1 for Deshaun Watson, I think, that's coming from Cleveland. So we're going to go ahead and enter the draft here and start this draft. The Cardinals, I mean, this is pretty chalk so far. Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, I think this is what's going to happen. So again, pour one out for MHJ and say hello to literally, generational tackle after generational tackle. Bo, what do you like on here? I'm going to let you pick this first pick. I'll get a little dicey with the second pick. Which tackle, which receiver, which defensive lineman do you want?
Yeah, and Damon Dog, he was talking to me about he doesn't like Joe Alt. He's more of a
Damon,
guy.
you're fired. What?
You love Alt. I know that. You're part of the Alt left tackle. That's your crew right there.
Let's be clear, Bo. I said I need to see his RAS score and I need to see his shuttle time before I'm all in on Joe Alt.
I would love when we go to the combine for like Joe Alt to square up Damon in a corner somewhere.
Dude, I'll square up.
Yeah, I would give anything for that to happen. If we can get him on set and then for him to just square him up, oh my God, it'd be tremendous.
Just all 6'8". The thing about he's 20 years old. And, I love Dylan Richards saying that Paris Johnson Jr., great stat, 0 pressures yesterday. I mean, a really rock solid effort offensive line wise, but could you bolster it? Could you make it a complete strength? Can you make it a relatively, really savvy financial offensive line with, the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to have that locked in between 2 blue chip prospects, between Paris Johnson Jr. and another guy out of the Big Ten. That's right, Big Ten, Johnny, not an independent college football team like the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I'm going Olu Fashanu as the top tackle off the board. And my God, Kyler Murray. I mean, to be able to play behind that wall, what it's going to do for the offensive line, for the run game, I love it.
That's fine. Again, I need to be courted to his camp this offseason. I've seen him play. He's good. He's a tremendous pass protector. And I guess that's really what you want. I just have delusions and dreams of Joe Alt and Trey McBride standing side by side, ready to fuck up like a Nick Bosa on the opposing side. Can I say that? I want that for me. But if Joe Alt comes in the NFL and his liability as a pass protector, then that gets kind of,
I prefer my offensive lineman from the Big Ten. It's an offensive
line. What about Penn
State
offensive tackles to this franchise, though? I brought that up earlier. That's a thing. Like
Levi Brown.
The Chicago Bears are dealing with it with Drake Maye and Mitch Trubisky. Like we all have the scars. We've got the PTSD.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's everything, but it's not nothing. Name me the last offensive tackle for Notre Dame that's been an outright bust. Most of them get paid.
Liam Eichenberg.
Who's that? Was he a high pick? Or was he like
he's horrific.
Damon, get off the microphone. David, dog.
Damon's just drop knowledge, just like that. Who name the last one, and just before you finish speaking, he drops Eichenberg on you.
I'm thinking like big ticket ones, like a McGlinchey, who's been good, and Joe Thomas Joe Thomas went to Wisconsin. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Big Ten.
I'm not gonna. All right, smartass. I'm not gonna complain. Jared Verse is an easy pick here. Let's just look at the options here. Obviously, okay. Michael Penix Jr. No, Leonard Taylor's good, and the defensive linemen that have come out recently from Miami have been good. Did you know that Cooper DeJean is white by chance? He's a first-round white corner. It's unbelievable. Mel Kiper has him as the 10th best player. The Cardinals I don't think are going to take him because it's a little rich, but I just had to share that nugget. I thought that was fantastic.
When was the last white cornerback that played big downs in the NFL? Jason Sehorn?
But didn't he convert to safety?
Yeah, I think he did at the end of his career.
And I don't want to get into like a race thing, but you just don't ever see that. But I think Christian McCaffrey paving the way for a white running back, maybe that helps Cooper DeJean in some way. But he's electric with the football, can return punts, and Iowa keeps winning games 10-6. But I think it's obvious.
Egbuka from Ohio State, he plays opposite Marvin Harrison Jr. I think it's a little. I think if you don't get Marvin Harrison Jr., you're not in a Keenan Coleman. I think you're out of the wide receiver. He's 6'1", productive for of course what the Buckeyes are doing. But I think the Arizona Cardinals, after going offensive tackle, I'm with you. Let's address the defense.
Keon Coleman, by the way, going 14th to the Chargers. The Chargers taking yet another first-round receiver because, of course, Bo's boy, Bo Nix, going 12th to the Buccaneers. Yeah, we're going to go chalk here. Jared Verse, who I still think is a top 12 kind of value. Cardinals go back-to-back trenches now. Some interesting names on here as we look ahead to round 2, Bo. I'm not going to say this is too early for a running back. If there's one that they fall in love with that they feel like can be an every down player behind James Conner, taking over for James Conner, I'm willing to listen. But man, I look at this big fella right here. Do you ever watch Chris Jenkins play for the University of Michigan? That's a man. That's a big man.
It feels like that's where they're kind of churning out interior defensive linemen. You had a kid that went to the Cowboys in the first round last year out of was it Maye that came out of Michigan? Yeah. He's so I got no problem with that, and that's an absolute need. And we've got one guy on the defensive line that I think you can point to that says, okay, move forward with Dante Stills, but outside of that, it's a work in progress. Why not add another, rotation guy? And you're pulling the trigger. Chris Jenkins, love it. What was the size on him?
I think he's
big boy.
Upwards, 6'3". But again, it's the best. They have the best line of scrimmage combination, even better than Georgia in the country. I mean, they're blowing people out left and right. And I think they were incredibly dominant against Penn State this weekend. So again, that you look at the draft results here, you got franchise left tackle for Kyler Murray. You've got an edge rusher out of the ACC that can go beautifully with, and look at that value with B.J. Ojulari, and then Chris Jenkins and Dante Stills. This team now is being built the right way. It's being built up front. And this is a good draft if you're Hollywood Brown, by the way. Hollywood Brown likes this draft from your boys.
Marcus says it's going to be Newton. He likes the kid out of Champaign, Illinois, playing great on the defensive line for the Illini. Absolutely. I think Jazeer is in the conversation later in the first round with that second first round pick. It's really going to be such a fun draft season.
CJ Stroud kind of messing up that reality right now. I mean, the Cardinals can help themselves. They're 20 right now with a win next weekend, but Newton, to me, what he's going to do in Indianapolis, I think, is going to put him in a position to be the first defensive lineman taken in the draft.
Yeah, to invest in the trenches, man. I mean, it's long overdue. And I think somebody in Monty Ossenfort, and obviously with Jonathan Gannon's scouting background, two guys, Dave Sears, assistant GM. Hopefully, he's with this organization at least for the next couple of years. They're guys that I think can scout the position, and we'll see if it pays off with all this draft capital. We use 3 of the draft picks in our 2 rounds there, and then there's 3 more in the versions of third round picks that they're going to have. And was it 6 in the top 80 selections that they'll be able to find a ton of starters. They've already found, it feels like, 4 starters from their first draft.
And again, I just don't see if Jonathan Gannon is signing off on defensive linemen, they can play. Like these defenders, while good and they're having a nice rookie season, are elevated by this coaching and the development that they're getting. And so, I mean, if I would love to play for Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis right now. Look what the infrastructure they built in Philadelphia that they've carried to Arizona. And you're Dante Stills and you're a 6th rounder, and they don't hesitate to put you in a position to succeed. I love that. I also love our friends at Circle K. Join the Inner Circle today for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply. Save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. Save 3 cents per gallon every single day. New free membership program. It's America's Thirst Stop. Pizza, coffee, ice cold fountain drinks, and more. Check them out. Ice cold fountain drinks. CircleK.com/store locator to find the Circle K Bo nearest to you.
If you haven't checked out Howard Balzer's latest work at GoPHNX.com, what are you doing? He breaks down, recaps the win yesterday. That was, of course, led by Kyler Murray. Check out all the insight that Howard Balzer provided there. He's got more articles headed your way. Unlock the entire website. You get about 95% of it for free, but why not unlock the entire site at GoPHNX by becoming a diehard today? You'll get a free PHNX t-shirt. We're obviously helping people win PHNX swag. The next best way to do that is become a diehard. You get a free t-shirt or hat each and every year. Go to the PHNXlocker.com. Pick out the gear that you want. I suggest the Cardinals gear, of course. But whatever you like, become a diehard today. Go PHNX.com, PHNXlocker.com. It's an exciting time. It's a really exciting time. what's Randolph saying here? If the Cardinals could just draft those 3, it would be A+ draft next April. Let's go. Yeah. I mean, saying that in November, absolutely. I mean, I'd take that. I'd sign up for that.
And like, here's the beauty. You saw them not be fearful to trade up as well. Like, they're not just hoarding picks to hoard picks. They traded up from 12 after they traded down to get Paris Johnson Jr.
Yeah.
And they gave up a premium pick to do so. They've got ammunition all throughout the draft. But one thing it feels like is becoming closer to a certainty, a reality, and that's that Kyler Murray is going to be the one that's the benefactor of this rebuilt roster. And if you need some convincing, how about this? Cardinals Update posted this on Twitter, Bo. Have you seen this? It's Monty Ossenford post-game yesterday embracing with one Kevin Murray, Kyler Murray's dad. How about that right there? It's like, hey, man, we got you. We're in good shape now. We got to, hey, Kevin, don't worry. We're going to take care of your son. This is a big boy program again. Don't worry about that.
How about Monty with the backpack? It's interesting. I mean, I still rock the backpack at my age, but
nice,
yeah, this is encouraging. Yeah, cool. Yeah, Kevin Murray, and I'm sure there's been a lot of communication. I'm sure between the Murray representation and the Arizona Cardinals. I'm sure that the communication has been as transparent as possible, and getting Kyler Murray back. And it was a banner day for both parties, right? That Kyler Murray was able to return, and his father Kevin, who's his quarterback coach, I'm sure was a big part of that. He was featured in the Kyler Murray episode of Hard Knocks, where they're sitting in the backyard just kind of talking about different things Kyler was doing during his rehab. So it's just good to see that. I can't remember seeing any of the previous regime hanging out with Kyler Murray's dad or getting that picture ever happening between him and Steve Keim outside of a press conference when Kyler was drafted. So it's good. I mean, Monty Osford puts in the work outside of the work, right? Like he's interacting with us, media members. He's interacting with people at the facility that are involved in the football operations or the roster part of the organization, and he gets it. So you have to appreciate that.
Again, we're going to put a ball on this today, and yesterday was something we've been waiting for some time, but I got a text earlier today from somebody I trust close to the situation, and basically encompassed you cannot put a price on Jonathan Gannon basically enduring 7-8 weeks of tough times, right? Then the team has been competitive, but a lot more losing than he's accustomed to doing. And you signed up for a rebuild, you know that. But there's one thing to go through it, how difficult that can be, wear on you mentally, physically. For Kyler Murray to immediately come back in this lineup and get a victory. I think that if Kyler Murray, if they missed a field goal, you'd still feel really good about it. And you posted something we had it on Twitter today. It was basically yeah, Kyler Murray told me we're good. I got this. And went down and drove down the field. Should have been a touchdown, kicked the field goal, won the game. It's if you don't think that buys him the immediate credibility, you already had it with Jonathan Gannon, but then some on game day. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's where relationships are forged, they're built. That's where trust is met and merged. So, I mean, the realness between those two, it's not falsified. It's not the Kingsbury-esque, yeah, we were buddies at collegiate level. I recruited him. Gannon and Kyler Murray are cut from the same cloth. They want the same thing, ultra competitive. And Murray's like, hey, man, we'll get this dub today. We'll take care of this. And they did.
It's I meant to say this last week, with JG, and he was going up and say what you will about Arthur Smith. He's the head coach. He's one of 32 in the league. And JG talked about how they shared a tiny closet-sized office together while they were in Tennessee. And the relationship that Ossenford has, and he's been able to bring in a guy like Dave Sears, and Ossenford coming from New England with all that success and the success he had before coming over in Tennessee, before they made a change at the front office there. And it seems like every week there's connections to the team that they're playing, right? It's because there's relationships in the 14, 15, 20 years from their front office to their coaching staff that wasn't there. We were never talking about, connections that Cliff Kingsbury had outside of Patrick Mahomes. That was the one thing he had, right? And it's so refreshing that this is a big boy, deeply connected organization now. To where, if they need players, if they need help on the coaching staff, they're going to have a pretty robust list of players and coaches that in front office members, scouting department members that they can grab and add to the organization.
I mean, it's what made Bruce Arians partially a great coach the relationships with players, coaches, executives, experience that they can lean on for the first time in a long time. That's back in the Valley, and hopefully it translates to some more wins sooner rather than later. Can the Cardinals go streaking and more? We're going to talk to our guy, Brian Baldinger, tomorrow, the top of the show, Baldy's Breakdowns. Spoiler alert, if you checked him out on Twitter, he's already loving what he's seeing from Kyler Murray. How can you not? So, Bo, it's going to be great to have the inside of the insider, the analyst here at ALLCITY, Brian Baldinger, because, again, we don't get too many Victory Mondays, at least lately, and Kyler Murray is a big part of that here. Jessica,
free matter for the blind. All poking fun at my inability to haul in a Kyler Murray pass, the one opportunity I had. Hopefully one day I will get a chance. You spell B-O-B-R-A-C-K, like spell it redemption. We are at 19,956 YouTube subscribers. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do us a big favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. Get us over 20,000 subscribers to what we're doing over at PHNX Sports. Just celebrated a championship yesterday. The USL Rising crew did a great job. If you are a Phoenix, Arizona sports fan, get in, subscribe today. Don't miss out on any of the content. Totri, Shane was back on our airwaves today. We're celebrating, I guess, kind of the resignation of Ray Anderson today from Arizona State. It's an exciting time. Things are trending in the right direction. Get in on the ground level with PHNX Sports. Let us hit that 20,000 subscriber mark together. Maybe be the 20,000 subscriber. That's a nice badge of honor to wear. We'd appreciate all of you. We already do. Jessica, I see you. Thanks for coming out yesterday. It was an incredible time at Gila River Casino at Wild Horse Pass.
Charles, shout out to Charles and his crew for coming out. Fantastic. This community is only growing stronger because of all of you.
Yep. Can't wait. Next week, we're at back victories potentially for the first time since 2021. We'll see, but we'll get into that conversation tomorrow, Johnny.
Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star. Check us out on Twitter, PHNX_Cardinals. He's at Bo Brack. I'm Johnny Venerable. Enjoy this Victory Monday. Enjoy some winning Arizona Cardinal football. We're back with Baldy tomorrow on a Tuesday.
We all silly like the mayor.